Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of Friday, July 4th. Well, happy 4th of July, everybody. It's America's 249 years old, and gosh, she doesn't look a day over 220, doesn't she? Um, I do hope everybody has a good holiday weekend and is safe out there. Maybe you see some fireworks, but I hope you get out and do some fishing. We do have a bunch of stuff to talk about, so we can just get right into it. So it's been hot. Everybody knows it's been hot. That makes the water temps hot. And that makes some fish making it not a good idea to be out fishing for some of them. So muskies, in particular, Capital C chapters of Muskies Inc. Great group. They posted a thing here earlier in the week that I reposted, and just reminding folks, once the water gets over 80 degrees, muskies, it's not a good idea to be chasing them out there. They even had, I saw a guy posted just yesterday, found a dead muskie out there, probably from the whole heat exhaustion thing. So do be careful and make sure you're checking temps, and we're going to have to give those muskies a break for a while. And we're also going to have to give trout a break. You can see here, it says 68 on this thing, but most of the stuff I read says 67 degrees. So if the trout water in the stream is above 67 degrees, they ask you to give those fish a break. And, in Madison here, we've got the Mendota buoy to tell us the water temps. Out on trout streams, you don't have that luxury, but you can take a little river thermometer, digital thermometer. You can get a fancy one here at the shop, or you can get a cheap one. This is just a meat thermometer. Make sure you're watching those temps and fishing accordingly there. With a lot of this hot water, we get algae blooms, and Dane County Public Health has a website where they monitor, or a web page where they monitor the conditions of different beaches around town. Now, this isn't the end-all be-all way to tell water quality around town, but it's a good way to get an idea of what's going on. So, you see a lot of green checks, so that's a good sign that the water's in good shape around town. You click on James Madison Park here, and it says the beach is closed to levels of bacteria, high levels of bacteria. So, that's good to know, and it's probably blue-green algae, but you never really know. Mendota County Park has an X on it because the park is actually closed for the summer while they do some remodeling. So anyway, it's a good way to at least get an idea of what's going on out there. And again, that's Madison Dane County Public Health website. Let's see, a little bit of shop news we got going on here. We talked about thermometers, leeches. I got another batch of leeches yesterday, and I was talking to my guy, and it sounds like maybe next weekend might be my last batch of leeches. So get in here and stock up if you want to, because leeches will be gone pretty soon. It's also, like I said, very hot. Come in and get your DNS cooler packs here. It comes with a frozen ice pack and the snazzy little cooler here, soft pack cooler, and it's $12.99. And it comes frozen, and you're ready to go when you buy your bait. You can throw it in there, and you're ready to go. But you do want to keep your worms cold when you're out there. And just some announcements, same stuff we've had for a while here. Blood drive up the street on July 15th, and then July 16th, they're doing down at the Deer Creek Sportsman's Club in Mount Vernon. They got Kalen Hoggard's event. He's having a casting challenge to raise money for his trip to Italy, where he will be representing the U.S. casting team in the World Championships. And then they're also having a fly tying night on August 5th. So support Kalen, get him out there, help him get to Italy, and dominate. I think that's it for announcements. So we can just get into the report. Nothing really much going on for tournaments this weekend. It looks like two smaller boat tournaments on Mendota, 20 boat tournaments, one Saturday, Sunday. So not much. You're probably not going to notice much there. Weather, it's been warm this week with temps in the upper 80s most days. Looks like it's going to be a roaster today and tomorrow with temps forecasted to crack 90 and a chance for showers here and there. A little cooler next week with temps still in the mid 80s and some spotty rain coming, but some good opportunities to get out and fish. The Mendota buoy is reading 79 degrees, I think it is. Yep. 79 this morning. It was 82 yesterday, which was a 6-degree jump from where we were last week. The rain we got last night and this morning cooled it down some. So, and I imagine it'll jump right back up there with the heat we got today. You're definitely going to want to be checking those water temperatures, because as you move down the chain, those water temperatures don't get any colder, that's for sure. But generally speaking, outside of some scattered gills on beds on Mendota, the spawn is pretty much done around town. So we're kind of moving into what I call like summer cruise control, where much of the fishing remains the same until fall. That being said, if it's panfish you're after, the outside weed edges are your best bet this time of year. Gills have their post-spawn feed bag on and are generally bluegills are generally have their feed bag on and are hanging out on weed lines in a lot of lakes around town. Many of those fish will move out to suspend over deeper water, especially on Lake Manona, but we're not quite there yet. Otherwise, with the weeds looking pretty thick in many shallow areas around town, shore fishing for panfish can be a challenge. But if you can find pockets of the weeds or one of the areas where the weed mowers come in, you can still find fish. And for gills, spikes, waxworms on an ice jig are great. Redworms on a little bit bigger jig work well. For crappies, crappie minnow or a small minnow-shaped plastic on a jig under a bobber is a pretty safe bet. I wish I had better news about the perch around town, but I just don't hear about anyone getting any real numbers across the chain. Largemouth bass anglers have been doing well up shallow with any number of presentations, but again, with the weeds getting thick, weedless plastics and topwater frogs have been most effective there. Smallmouth bass are still being found in up shallow early and late in the day, but for the most part, they've moved off to cooler, deeper rocky areas. Rocky breaks and stuff like that. And there again, any number of artificial lures will work, but I'd slow your presentation down a bit with these warmer temps. Kind of like people, fish can get a little sluggish. Otherwise, on the live bait side of things, black-tailed chubs and leeches always work well for smallmouth. And, walleyes love those too. And walleye anglers have been in a pretty good mood, but if you're fishing from shore, it's starting to get a little difficult with the weeds and the water temps coming up. If you're in a boat, though, work rocky shoreline breaks near shallow flats. If you're fishing during the day, move up onto those shallow flats during low light periods. Walleye are also being picked up on mid-lake humps in good numbers, which is typical this time of year, no matter where you fish on the live bait side of things. Minnows will catch walleye, but leeches have really been on fire lately. If it's pike you're after, they'll grab just about any lure you throw at them, but our large shiners are a pretty safe bet if you're tossing live bait. I haven't heard much in the way of musky action with the temperatures. It's just been too warm to really be fishing for them. And kind of the same thing with trout between the warm temps and some high water from some rain we've had. Haven't heard about a lot of folks getting out, but the weeds and heat and everything make that tough. So a lot of times this time of year, I'm just smallmouth fishing, and we'll talk more about this later in the report when I do my Happy Fly Day feature. But anyway, a little more detail here up on Cherokee. We've got a lot of weeds up there. There are still some, I drove by there the other day, and there's still some pockets, and you can definitely work a topwater frog or some plastics across the surface. And, once you get down here to 113, okay, and we're back. And like I said, down to the 113 bridge area down here, the catfish have pretty much moved on. You can still find a cat here and there, but that's pretty much the case for all species down at 113. You really never know what's going to be moving through there. So I hear about walleyes, I hear about bass, white bass, panfish, anything and everything can always be moving through there. So it's always worth a look. On Mendota itself, the catfish have moved out into Lake Mendota. You can find them just kind of cruising around anywhere. You catch them trolling for walleyes or fishing for bluegills with an ice jig, and you just never know. Otherwise, bluegills are still on beds in a lot of places. Shallow, sandy, gravelly areas with a little bit of weeds can be productive. But the way the gills spawn on Mendota is they're just scattered so much. It's you might find a dozen beds here or 6 there, but they're still doing their thing. But other than that, smallmouth bass are done spawning, of course, and they're still hanging out in shallow, rocky areas. But they move out deeper during the day when it gets warm like this. So look for them, maybe like 15 or 20 feet of water. Areas like Maple Bluff, Governor's Island, Picnic Point. Anywhere there's rock, you're probably going to find smallmouth. Same thing with the walleyes. The walleyes are hanging out deeper these days. I've been hearing about people getting fish in as deep as 25 and even 30 feet of water during these hot sunny days, but they do move up shallow in the evenings. And like I said in the intro, mid-lake humps are super great right now. So you got Dunn's Bar, Brearley Bars, Second Point, stuff like that. Should all have fish on them out there too. I guess I didn't mention perch. I mentioned it in the intro, but I just haven't heard of anybody getting any perch. I'm not sure what's going on there. White bass have been a challenge too. I hear about people getting few, but they're bigger white bass, but just not the numbers. I'm not sure what's going on there, and not many crappies that I've heard about lately either. Otherwise, pike are pretty much everywhere, and we'll grab just about anything. Down to the Tenney Park Breakwall, they've been getting a nice mixed bag of fish out of there. I've seen some pics of some nice bass, walleyes in the evening. Of course, pike and everything like that are down there. The Tenney Park Lock and Dam, they've been having good action below there for walleye. white bass and bluegills, mostly during low light hours, but you just really never know what you'll find in that river. That's what makes it so fun. Down on Lake Manona, the gills are done spawning, so look for those fish on weed edges pretty much anywhere around the lake. If you can find a weed edge, you're likely going to find fish. Those fish are kind of hanging out there now, getting their energy back up. They got their post-spawn feed bag on, and then pretty soon they're going to move out over deep water, and they'll just be suspended out there and hanging out 10 to 15 feet down, just basically anywhere and everywhere all over the lake. The crappies have moved back into off the wall over here, and there's some gills starting to show back up there. I don't hear much about largemouth bass, but there's a ton of them out there. Smallmouth bass, I hear about a nice one being caught every now and then. And walleyes, they've been getting off the wall over here at the terrace at night. And of course, places like the rock pile and stuff like that are good areas for walleyes. But weeds are challenging. Panfish in Monona Bay are always there. Been some good bass action over there too in the triangles. Lake Winger's got a ton of tiny small panfish in there and a good largemouth bass population. I'd give the muskies a break while it's hot. Same thing on Monona, just give the muskies a break for now. Down on Upper Mud, the dredge hole weed edges are usually good for panfish for the rest of the summer. And then you got the shallow flats around there, good for largemouth bass, although it can get pretty weedy up there. And pretty much the same thing down in Wabisa. This is what I was talking about, the cruise control stuff. The reports are going to start to sound the same for quite a while until it gets to be cooler in like late September, October. But yeah, weed lines for gills and panfish. You might find a crappie mixed in there. I haven't heard anything on perch. Walleyes near Hog Island and Babcock, Rockford Heights, and Bible Camp area, this kind of southeast end of the lake. Pike are around, and yeah, haven't heard anything for perch, and yeah, good bass action down there. Keeganza's had some good panfish action still on weed edges down there, and then Keeganza's known to have maybe not a numbers lake, but they do have some nicer bluegills down there. Weed edges are good, and I did get a report that some bluegills are starting to suspend over deeper water down here. So that just shows you the kind of the progression we always talk about, whether it's the lakes warming or whatever's going on, spawn and everything. Keeganza's going to be warmer and further along than Mendota, so there's still gills spawning up here, and there's still there's fish moving out, suspending over deep water down here. As far as the rest of the area goes, also kind of on cruise control, rivers are going to have most of your fish at dams are great, a nice mixed bag there. That goes for Indian Ford and Jefferson up here, nice mixed bag of fish. I've been hearing about some cats showing up. Lake Koshkonong, been hearing about some decent walleye action, some good white bass out there, but that's mostly just a trolling game for the rest of the summer. Let's see, Beaver Dam has a decent catfish bite still going on, and I've heard about some crappies out there. Otherwise, I haven't heard much off Devil's Lake in the last week or two. The river is running high, or it was yesterday. The river yesterday was running at 23,000 CFS up at the Dells and 27 down in Muscadet. Usually this time of year, you're looking at about 10,000 or less. So it was really high. Must have got a bunch of rain up north. And of course, we had some rain down here. But I did check it this morning, and it's coming down pretty good. So other than the high water, you're going to want to check for that. You got smallmouth and walleye up and down the river, and any number of fish. But look to outside bends for deeper water. Look to downstream sides of sandbars for deeper water. And wood along the shoreline can be good, especially for smallmouth, or any wood really anywhere is going to be good. Otherwise, if you're fishing the rivers, like I said, dams are the place to be. So Prairie du Sac Dam, I was over there the other day, and the water was just raging out of there. But it is coming back down. It should be more fishable. Lake Wisconsin sounds like some good panfish action in all your bays, Moon Valley, the Grade, stuff like that. Has been seeing good panfish action. Or I'm sorry, the Grade's over here. Yeah, the walleye and sauger action's been good, but size has been a bit of an issue. The Dells, I haven't heard much out of there. The water's a little high, but all the dams are going to be good. Castle Rock, Petenwell, over to the Mississippi. I don't talk to many people going over there to fish anymore now that spawn is done, but folks do fish the barges over there, and they've been having good luck. A lot of bigger sturgeon, pike, walleye, white bass. You just really never know, and that's typical for any river. Sounds like the action out on the big lakes getting a little slow for cohos, and I think they've been struggling a little bit for kings too. I know Noah was over there, and him and Austin Rogotsky have been putting folks on some real nice kings over there. So call them and book a trip if you want to get out on the big lake. Otherwise, the Milwaukee River is good for wading the rest of the summer. Good smallmouth river that's improving every year and some good pike over there. Otherwise, as far as trout go, um, the creek should be in fine shape clarity wise, but honestly, with this heat, I'd be surprised if you can find water cold enough to fish. So, yes, you can find cold water in the headiest of the headwaters, but with the weeds coming up and the water being small, it's just it's difficult to say the least. So, like I said in the intro, for me, all of July and most of August is me chasing smallmouth on many of the fine rivers we have in the area. You got the Wisconsin, of course, is awesome, just wade out on sandbars. But you got littler rivers. The Sugar River down here is great. The Pecatonica River, the Rock River can be awesome. So yeah, get out there and explore and do some smallmouth fishing. It's a lot of fun. But if you do find some cold water, we can still talk about our Happy Fly Day feature. Nymphs are always great. Caddis and olive or mayfly imitations, beadhead pheasant tails. A hare's ear will catch just about anything. Scuds, pink squirrels, and woolly buggers. If you happen to find some dry fly hatches, blue-winged olive hatches and caddis hatches are pretty much limited to early morning and evening hours, but you can still find some of those popping off. Hex is basically something you're only going to find if you drive a few hours up north, but thought I'd mention it anyway because it's super fun fishing at night with dry flies. But it's terrestrial season, so right now we're looking at ants and beetles and crickets too, maybe to a little lesser extent. Yeah, that's if you're fishing trout. Otherwise, like I said, smallmouth fishing on area rivers is awesome. We got a full selection of hoppers and or poppers and gurglers and all kinds of stuff. Custom tide flies from Aztec Fishing. These look beautiful streamers. Um, cool jiggy meaty things from Ben Lipchansky. He's got the Murdich minnow, which is awesome on the Wisconsin River, as are crease minnows and crayfish patterns and stuff like that. So swing in and get some of those. I got a whole new shipment of Clouser minnows, which I didn't mention here in the report, but those are also really great this time of year. So I think that pretty much does it for the report. Feel free to post your comments and catches below. Do feel free to call the shop at 241-4225 if you'd like us to expand on anything. Stay safe out there this weekend. It's going to be warm, and stay hydrated. I do appreciate you tuning in as always, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks so much.